It's time to create a profitable, scalable, and sustainable studio for yourself and your students. Welcome to Dance Studio Empire. I'm Jen, dance studio owner for 30 years, running multiple locations with over 1,000 students, dance business coach turned mastermind mentor for dance studio owners, creatives, and leaders like you. I know you're committed to growing your studio and creating the time and financial freedom you most want, while also being the best in the industry with a reputation to match. I've coached hundreds of studio owners who have grown to 250, 500, and over 1,000 students using my signature studio scaled method. And in this podcast, I'll give you the clarity, strategy, and CEO mindset to help you do the same. Let's dive in. Welcome back to this week's episode, everyone, of the podcast. I am really excited to introduce a special guest that we have today, Phillips, who is a dance business coach and CEO of BAM, which is Bust a Move Dance, but also a true leader in dance education. At the moment, we are seeing her all over the place. And so I'm really honored that you've given up your time to be here today. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I feel like it's been a long time coming, so I'm excited to finally be on the podcast.
I know. I was thinking that, and yeah, we tried this. I think it was towards the end of last year. Completely my fault that I kept putting it off and having to reschedule. But anyway, we're finally here, and I honestly believe in divine timing, and you're here right now for a reason. So very grateful for that. Could you start by just giving our listeners the story of your journey of dance? So who's inspired you and what exactly led you to where you are today?
Thank you for asking. I love it. I love telling my story. I grew up in Brisbane, Australia. I danced as soon as I came out the womb. Probably like a lot of the people on your podcast. And my mum put me in dance classes at my local studio when I was 3. And it just felt like a second home. Always, always did. Not everyone has the same, sense of belonging that I did at my studio, but it was just the safest place for me. And I did competitions and I did end of year recitals. And I think one thing that I remember so warmly was just how much my little personality, well, probably big personality, was very much nurtured. Right? I talked a lot. I laughed a lot. At school, it was very much like shh, shush, shush, shush. And at my dance studio, it was like, we accept you. So I definitely owe a lot of that nurturing to my studio owner and my teachers. And yeah, I grew up, I loved jazz. I loved musical theater. I did it through primary school into high school. And then when I was in high school, also, I went to a very prestigious private girls' school that they really tried to clone you into one thing. So my dance studio was once again such a safe place for me to just be in my expression and in my embodiment and in my leadership. And when I was in high school, my sister, she had started a community center that had an interest in special needs. And she's actually my half sister. So we didn't live together, but we saw each other. Absolutely. And when I was, in high school, I used to go and volunteer at this monthly dance party that was on at this community center that had a bunch of adults with disabilities. And at the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was really weird and I felt pretty uncomfortable. And I was like, people with disabilities are hectic and uncertain and very unpredictable. And I got used to it. I went and volunteered. And when I was in my final year of high school, my sister asked me if I wanted to start a structured dance class for some of the people that came to this monthly dance party. When I tell you, I had no experience with people with disabilities. I didn't think that it was going to be something that I was going to do. It wasn't something that I was really passionate about. I wanted to dance. I wanted to be Beyonce's backup dancer. And yet I was like, fine. I scrolled down my iTunes and I found the song Bust a Move by Young MC, who I literally was not even a fan of, but found this song. Once again, talk about divine timing and divine just intervention. And so I called this random dance class that I was going to try for people with disabilities called Bust a Move. And that's how my company started. And I was in my final year of high school, just before I was about to do my dance and education degree at the same time. So that's really where everything shifted and changed. But that's, I guess, the origin story.
Beautiful. And then from there, did you just grow that? Is that how BAM?
Yes. Yeah. So random. So I started my education and dance degree, and then I started BAM, and I I just started at this tiny little community center and it ended up growing via word of mouth. I think what really put us on the map, though, is that I still wanted to pursue my dance. And so I was still dancing at Mad Dance House in Brisbane, an open dance space. And I was like, well, why don't I just run my dance classes at Mad Dance House? Like, that would just make sense. Therefore, I'll just run BAM and then I'll dance at night. And so it's more honestly, a matter of convenience. But also, I think in the back of my mind was like, that would be kind of cool to have people with disabilities in this space. So then I grew it organically through word of mouth. I also had a lot of dancers who also did other activities like Special Olympics, and they did other co-curricular activities. So I would go and you'd be like, hey, does anyone want to dance? And we would, I would ask people to bring their friends. And then we had a couple of kids that went to a special school around the corner from where we originally started the classes. And so some of the people came from there, and it grew really, really organically. But yeah, over the next decade, I dedicated everything to BAM. And now we're in our 60, it'll be 16 years in January next year.
Wow. What an achievement.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
And you actually run that remotely, don't you? Because you live in Canada, is that correct?
Yeah. So I run it remotely from here, but I have an amazing team of teachers that run and have taken like such beautiful ownership over their classes. I mean, this is the thing. I started at a very young age, and that meant that I still wanted to live my life. So from the very beginning of BAM, I used to be like, hey, I'm going to go overseas for 2 months. Who wants to cover my classes? And so there was this air of flexibility and adaptability that was built into the foundation of my business. I see this so many, oh my goodness, I see this so much with dance studio owners that they're so attached and they don't leave their business. Because I think I didn't know any better as a child, literally as a 19-year-old, I was like, no, I'm going traveling. Who wants to run my business for me? So yeah, I ran it. And then in 2017, I moved to Toronto, Canada, which is where I live now. And I started a second branch of it here. So it operates in Brisbane, Australia, and in Toronto, Canada.
Wow. That's such an achievement, I think, because for any of our studio owners who are listening, the challenge of running even just 2 separate locations where we can physically get to can be hard and can be quite overwhelming. So well done to you. I'm just taking my hat off.
Thank you.
That.
Thank you.
All right. So I want to go back. It brings me back some memories because when quite early on in my studio journey, I guess, teaching, I had a class, I ended up with a class of Down syndrome kids, and it started with one who came, and because it's very community based because it was all from the same local school. As most people who are listening know my story and how it just slowly built each year, and so I had this one student come, and I have actually said this on the podcast before, still to this day, she is my favorite student. And I know we're not supposed to have favorites, but
But you do.
Was.
Everybody does.
And, what she taught me was incredible. I learned so much from her as a person, as a teacher. But anyway, so she went back to her school and told all her friends. And then I ended up with a class of, Down syndrome kids. And it still, the memories that I have of that is the most rewarding and the most beautiful experience. But it does come with challenges, and I would love if you could chat through some of the challenges that you experience when you are working with special needs kids and adults, but also some of the rewards that come with that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find this question sometimes difficult because I am if we think of a mountain, I am 15 years up the mountain, and I have to remember that this topic can feel really, really scary for people, that for me, it feels like second nature. Like, why is everyone so scared of this topic? Or why is everyone so hesitant? Or why do people need to be ready? And it's such a beautiful lesson in me, like walking back down the mountain and relating to people who are at the beginning, like stage 1. And maybe there are people listening that are like stage 5 and like 10 years up the mountain, whatever it is, wherever you are. I love doing podcasts and reminding myself to like go back to when things felt scary at the beginning. I think there was a huge challenge when I first started around establishing myself as an expert in the space, right? I had no experience working with people with disabilities, yet all of a sudden, now I had a class of people with disabilities and their parents being like, well, what about this? And how are you going to support my child? And I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. And so this trust muscle that I had to develop straight away, because there was this intuitive part of like, but yes, you're the parent, but you're actually not the dance teacher. So setting that boundary was really challenging at the beginning, like being able to trust my own intuition about how I should run a class, where I actually had no mentor, no teacher. My sister just had the community center. And then all of a sudden I was this leader of this dance space. So I think the challenge for me was trusting myself enough to be like, I can do this. That was the first challenge. The second challenge was definitely parents. To this day, parents are still the topic that I talk to my clients the most about, setting boundaries with those parents, being able to gently remind the parents that like, hey, I've got this. And parents come with a lot of a desire to protect their beautiful children that they just want to make sure feel a sense of inclusion and belonging. But at the end of the day, parents of people with disabilities are working through their own internalized ableism. Let's be real, right? And unless they are a parent that identifies as disabled as well, they're not living in that experience. So that was challenging, being able to like set those boundaries, especially as like a 17-year-old. Like, who am I to come in and be this expert? I think the other challenge is including everyone. So what I mean by that is that you're going to have, and I did have, people who needed to be more challenged and more accommodated. And how can I make sure that every single person in this class is getting what they need out of it, including myself as the teacher? Because there were classes where I just walked out feeling like I had given everything in the kitchen sink. And I just was like, actually, that doesn't feel good for me. And in order to create this inclusive space, I need to figure out what I need. And so there were many years of just giving and giving and giving and giving and giving without feeling like I was being poured back into. And especially I found that this demographic, this might be controversial or a bit of a hot take, but they expect to be given to. Right? There is victim consciousness there. There is, we expect you to bend over backwards because of the children that we have. And that was really challenging because there were lots of times where I was like, I don't have anything else to really give. And that's where the boundaries really started to come into place. The other challenge was, from a personal place, was proving to people that this was legitimate. Like that this wasn't just some little passion project hobby on the side, that BAM was actually a fully fledged business that could sustain the life that I wanted to live, that I could actually create financial freedom and sustainability, right? Like it wasn't just some like, you know, even to this day, when I say I run an international dance company for people with disabilities, the first thing I get is like, oh, that's so cute. It's like, no, actually, it's fucking awesome. And it literally has given me my entire life. So, I mean, I can go on with the challenges. Some of them are personal. Some of them are more tangible and like obvious. But yeah, I would say those are some.
So then what would be the rewards? What's the best part?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, one of the biggest rewards is the community. I think that, oh my goodness, like I was even saying to someone the other day that I just, actually, personal story, I needed a personal favor, like an actual personal alley favor. And I reached out to one of the BAM families that I have, and they bent over backwards for me. and were like, yeah, what do you need? Even as we transitioned into COVID, I emailed the families and was like, hey, this is my life. This is my livelihood. Like, will you stay with me? And literally without a doubt, every single one of them was like, say less. What do you need? We got you. We love you. And I think that that has been the biggest reward. I've given so much and I've built so much trust that my families are just, the community is so massive. And still in Australia, even over here, the amount of trust. So, I mean, just watching students, oh my gosh, watching students step into who they are and develop so much confidence and independence and self-assurance and embodiment. I mean, that is, as teachers, like everything is seeing your students actually be who they were born to be. I think educating and disrupting the way that we see disability, that's been a huge reward. Being able to see teachers' mindsets shift and teachers actually being like, I can do this and I want to do this and work through those barriers has been such a reward. I mean, tangibly, my lifestyle, living by myself, living overseas, having a beautiful car, being able to travel the world. Like, I have received that as a reward from this business. There are so many.
I wanted to take a moment to speak directly to those of you who might be feeling stuck or at your wit's end with growing your studio, because I have just the solution. I would love for you to join us at the Dance Studio Scaled Retreat at the end of June at the beautiful Noonawina Retreat. Now, this isn't just a getaway, it's a transformative experience designed to help you find clarity, develop a simplified strategy, and cultivate the mindset needed to scale your studio. You'll get to enjoy 2 nights of luxurious accommodation, mouth-watering meals prepared by a private chef, and hands-on business development sessions. Plus, you'll have the opportunity to connect with other driven studio owners, learn from expert guest speakers, and unwind with some rejuvenating activities. Now, if you're ready to take your studio to the next level and recharge in a stunning setting, then this retreat is for you. Check out the details in the show notes or drop me a DM in Instagram if you'd like to learn more. Let's make this your breakthrough year. All right, now let's dive back into the episode.
It's beautiful. And it really is just the appreciation, isn't it? Putting our heart and soul into everything we're doing, every decision we're making. It's just beautiful to have that back. And I think for a lot of studio owners at the moment, I saw a post on Facebook the other day and it was a studio owner just saying, I feel like I'm burnt out. I'm so burnt out. I don't know why. Why am I? And questioning this feeling that she's feeling. And I didn't respond to the thread, but to me, it's just that relentless giving that we do in our nature. And 4 years ago, we would get that appreciation back, but now it's harder and harder to get that back from parents. And we're not doing it for the appreciation, but just that helps with all the work that we do put in.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm lucky because I have intentionally poured into my community. And I think that, I'm not saying other studio owners haven't. I just feel like my parents, and I don't know, maybe it's the nature of the work that I do and that there's not a lot out there for the children of these families. But honestly, the amount of messages I get and appreciation actually is quite beautiful. And the appreciation may not come in the form of coming up to you and saying that, but it is in those moments where I'm like, hey, I need a favor. And they're like, what do you need? You know, even just like appreciation in the smallest things, like I don't have late payments. I send an invoice, people pay me. You know, like that for me is appreciation. Like they go, wow, I know that this is keeping her business going. Like that is appreciation, on time payments. And
that's
like
respect as well.
Massive respect. Like I get replies from emails. I don't have to follow up from people to people, you know, I mean, yes, 1 and 2, but I think there's this like mutual shared respect in the community that I have, that I send an email, I get an email back. And that for me is respect and appreciation, big time.
To me, it just keeps coming back to that. You know, if we can build that culture in our studios to allow that to happen. That's how we have the sustainability. And
actually, if I can add something, that's something that I saw in COVID a lot. I thought that what I observed from people, not necessarily just studio owners, but this like grasping for community or just like wanting to build things quickly. And the people that stood out or the people that grew had already put so much time, energy, attention into building their communities that it was just an easy transition. So that is like, yeah, as I'm, selling the teacher training license and going to be doing a lot of, business support work with my clients, it's like, that is the biggest thing. Build the relationships, build the community, like pour into them from such a genuine place.
Agree. And that leads beautifully into the next line of questioning I was going to ask about. You are in the middle of developing some curriculum and a license essentially for studio owners. Could you, or teachers training, please give us all the details, as much as you can tell us about that at the moment.
Okay, yes. So I mean, it's taken a lot of trial and error, but essentially we are finally launching the teacher training license and going through a massive rebrand, which is very, very exciting, because my vision is that people with disabilities can choose dance if they desire, right? Because this is at the end of the day, I think the biggest barrier to more inclusive classes are confident teachers.
100%.
I genuinely believe that. And even at conferences that I speak at or, events that I'm at, one of the pushback I get around why don't you run more inclusive classes is this idea of like, oh, but we just don't have interest. And I call bullshit on that because best believe, and I have the market research, there are parents scrolling on Facebook, scrolling on Instagram, Googling inclusive classes. And if your studio is not advertising and presenting inclusive classes, like actually saying we are open for people with disabilities, they're not going to inquire. They're going to go straight past and find someone who is. So this teacher training license is teacher focused. Yes, there is an interest, and obviously it's tailored towards teachers and studios running inclusive classes for people with disabilities, but it is focused on the teacher and less on the diagnosis and the disability aspect. I want more confident teachers. I want teachers to go, hey, we have capacity to run this class. I don't know who we're going to get, but I'm so down to just like give it a go, and not instead of having this mentality of like, okay, I'm going to get ready. I'm just going to like be ready. I'm just going to be ready. And then I'm going to learn along the way. So, little bit of detail is, it includes all the same things that all of the other licenses. I give you the lesson plans. I give you the music playlist. I give you the dance activities. I give you the branding and the content and the marketing material and all of the brand assets. But I think the thing that is going to set this license apart is, once again, I'm expert in this field. So you have a monthly space where you come and you get to ask your questions and like get really, really messy. I want a safe space to talk about disabilities, right? We're so scared to talk. We're so scared to ask the questions. We're so scared to get canceled and make mistakes. There are no wrong, silly, unnecessary questions in this space. Like, ask about that student that you have no idea about and that the parent comes up to you and is screaming in your face and you feel like you're this small. Like, that's come, ask your questions. And then the other thing is, it is a prerequisite that if you become or you are interested in the license, that you are ready to start programming. So I don't want just a bunch of people trained in this philosophy and in this license and not doing anything with it, because that goes against this vision that I have of inclusive classes everywhere, right? So you have to be ready and willing to start. I was on a client call the other day with someone that's like, I really want to run inclusive classes for people with disabilities. I'm like, great, when's the start date?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I don't know. I feel like I have to get all this information. Wait, what information do you need? She's like, well, how much do I charge? I'm like, well, how much do you want to charge? What are you willing to get out of bed for? Okay, well, there's the price. How long do you want it to be? Well, I don't know. What do people want? No. You don't tell them, you don't ask them what they want. How long do you want it to be? What is your lifestyle? What does your lifestyle, give for a program? If you can only do 4 weeks, because that's how much time you got, then do 4 weeks. All of that stuff is just noise that gets in the way of actually doing the damn thing. And you have to realize that you're making it so much more about you when there are families of kids with disabilities that are just waiting to give you their money. So a lot of what I'm going to be doing is giving you business support, but also holding you accountable. Let's go for it. Let's run a free trial. Let's put out a flyer. It's not about being perfect. It's about just doing it and then learning along the way. So yeah, I'll give you all the lesson plans, but honestly, it's going to be a joint effort. I bring the expert in disability. You bring the expert in dance teaching and in your community and in your actual like dance setting. And then we work together and we just actually do it.
Do we know when release will be of that?
Yes, we are. No, we are doing it. It is the first 4 weekends of August this year. So it will be first 4 weekends of August. Actually, in Australia, it will be Monday morning. So it'll be Sunday afternoons, Monday mornings, the first 4 Monday mornings in August. You have to be available for all 4. It has to be live. There are no recordings. It is going to be, we are working out pricing right now, but it's going to be around the $800 mark Canadian, around that price. It is going to be a prorated amount if dance studios want multiple teachers certified, because if you want to have a dance, like if you can have this in your dance studio or you can be an independent contractor. But August application forms are ready to go. Like the wait list is on the website right now. So you can go and put your name down on the wait list, but the application form is like 2 seconds away. So it's happening.
Well, that's great. Well, I will definitely leave the details in the show notes episode so people can contact you. I just have a question. What is your definition of inclusivity?
Yeah, I don't have one. I don't have a definition. I think inclusion is a practice. It is an embodiment. It is a commitment. It is an energy. It is not a checklist. It doesn't look like one thing and not look like anything else. I think it's curiosity. I think it's willing to get things wrong. I think it's willing to put yourself in someone else's shoes. I think it's a willingness to question the lens in which you see things from, question your bias, challenge your belief systems. I think that's inclusion.
That's a really great answer.
Thank you.
Tossing up
it's not the first time I've been asked the question, but thank you. That's how I see it.
Tossing up whether to bring this up, because this was a real life story in my studio. Now, it's several years ago now, so I feel okay to talk about it. And I've never really brought it up, but we've always been an inclusive studio. Like, as I mentioned before, I was teaching those Down syndrome classes and I was still at school then. I probably would have been in about year 10. So I was still very young.
Wow.
But, same, I just turned up and did what I did. Like, there was no strategy or planning behind it. And which is why I think it works so well. However, so we've always been that studio. I just thought that's what you did. Like, I didn't even think it was a thing. Several years ago now, we had a male student come and he was 17. He had disabilities, but his mum never disclosed what it was. But you can tell when you're in the classroom how people respond. And with him, he absolutely loved what he was doing. However, he brought with him a presence that was quite intimidating. And girls in the class, I ended up losing a couple of girls. We had to move a couple because he just took up space. That was just him. He took up space and he was loud. And so it made my other students feel, not all of them, but a lot of them uncomfortable. And I was in a real dilemma about what to do in this, because I also promised that my kids in the class should be feeling safe. Like, that's just a promise when they're in the studio. And so I'm getting feedback that they're not. I also promised that everyone's welcome in my studio. So it was a real dilemma.
Totally.
So what I did end up doing, so obviously spoke with his mum and we had conversations about it. We ended up moving him to a different class to try that. And he was like, I really want to go back to that other class, but just sort of explained to his mum that this is sort of the option at the moment that we can offer. And anyway, he stayed probably another 18 months and then he moved on completely to he started doing gymnastics.
Activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a real dilemma I experienced.
Yeah.
As I said, I've never really brought it up with the community, and I'm happy to now have the discussion. I like leaving those things a couple of years in the past.
Yeah, totally.
So have you ever experienced
Do you have that? Yeah, for sure. And I think this comes back to why my teacher training is teacher focused.
Yeah.
Because I think there is this savior mentality that we have as teachers, that we just want everyone to feel included, even if we abandon our own needs in those moments. And I think that that's not inclusion for me. Inclusion is everyone feeling a sense of safety and belonging. So I think that in this context, you did what felt good for you in that moment. It's very nuanced. Like I don't know what his behavior necessarily looked like, or what the girls were experiencing. But it has been something that I have experienced. I think, I do a lot of work in schools over here as well. And one of the things that I love doing is facilitating integrated classes between people with and without disabilities. And I work with a specific school where we work with grade 12 students without disabilities, and then we run dance classes with everyone together. And at the beginning of this session, I have a conversation just with the students in grade 12 who do not have disabilities. And I think maybe just in the package that I come with, I can feel a little bit relatable. I definitely speak on that. I think, I thought at the beginning people with disabilities were weird and really unpredictable. And we have a really open conversation about what our worries are. And I think this is the responsibility of teachers in these dance studio spaces. And one of the skills that I will give to my licensees, which is, in order to create true inclusion, we need to be able to talk about it. We need to be able to have these conversations. And I want to create a space where non-disabled people can be like, I'm really scared right now. Like, I feel really unsafe. I had a situation in this class where one of the students with disabilities was very intrusive to the student without, and you could see her nervous system go into full dysregulation, and the student without a disability, with a disability, it was not their intention, but they do have erratic behavior. So what I did in that sense is I stopped everything. I had a support worker that supported the person with a disability, and we just shook it out. We just really regulated her nervous system back to baseline so that then she could feel safe in that moment to have a conversation. And I think what tends to happen a lot is in those moments of dysregulation and in those moments of uncertainty, unsafety, even unpredictability, when a person with a disability gets violent or upset or loud or in someone's face, we just move on too quickly. Yep. And instead, what we need to do, just like we need to treat it like a trauma response, is we need to stay in that moment and we need to recalibrate in that moment. Because similar to a car accident, if we're not going back and doing the rehab and reminding ourselves it's okay and safe to get back into a car again, we're then going to be holding on to this fear. And now that's probably going to be something that we carry and hold on to when we're working with people with disabilities in the future. I'm not saying that that's what happened in the case of your situation. I know I kind of went on a tangent, but I do think that if you are going to welcome people with disabilities into your dance space and into an integrated setting, you've got to be willing and ready to have conversations about discomfort, even just something simple around there are people with disabilities, for instance, that I've had that just fart all the time, right? Let's just use that as an example, right? Yeah. And that makes other people feel really uncomfortable, and also that's kind of gross. I call it out. I've called it out, believe me, and it gets really weird, and then all of a sudden it doesn't, because I'm not making it weird.
Yeah.
I'm the expert in this space. I'm the leader. I have to create the safety. And so, I just think it's nuanced, and yes, it's happened to me, and it's there's no right or wrong. And it's about the teacher feeling safe first and foremost. And if the teacher feels safe, then you're going to be able to create safety for everybody else.
Well, thank you for changing the landscape. I mean, you really are pivotal in things moving forward in the industry. So, we're lucky to have people like you in the industry. So thank you. I want to be respectful of your time because I know it's getting quite late over there. But I always just love finishing with a question of who's inspiring you at the moment. And it doesn't have to be industry related. It can be podcast guests. It could be social media. It could be a book you're reading. But I find this is the way to expand ourselves as individuals when other people suggest what they're into.
Okay, there is someone that is coming to my mind. He is an American comedian by the name of Andrew Schultz. And he's someone that I've watched his come up just from time. He comes with a warning label. So anyone that's going to go and listen to his stuff, just please know that he is a comedian. Intent matters. Comedian. But something that I'm inspired by, first of all, is his hustle and his dedication to his craft. Like, he's been doing it a really long time. The other thing I love about him is that he brought people with him. And I actually posted this on my Instagram today from Simon Sinek, which is success is a team sport. That, oh my God, I love that quote so much. That success is a team sport, and something that Andrew Schultz has just inspired me to do is bring people along with him and create this community. And at the moment, that's what I'm really aiming to do. I'm almost like curating my ultimate team, and that really inspires me. And he's true to himself. He's disruptive. He's not cookie cutter. I think, and that's something that he speaks to me in that way, for sure.
This is how we continue to open our mind and learn. So I love that.
Yeah.
Ali, where can people find you?
Instagram. So my handle is Ali Phillips. So ALIPHILLIPS.official on Instagram, and then BAM Dance on Instagram. So BAMDANCE. We're about to go through a massive rebrand, but it's like a blue and green logo. And then everything on Instagram leads to the teacher training waitlist. We have a 3-hour intro to dance and disability session, which is like the perfect intro for dance studio teams, teaching teams, independent teachers. So there's like a link to that as well. We have webinars on the website that are cheap and easy and are totally for new teachers wanting to just dip their toes into dance and disability. And, I understand like being in a space with me might feel intimidating because people don't want to get it wrong. So go and buy those webinars, get some language under your belt, get some questions under your belt, and then come back to me. I think that would be great.
Well, thank you so much for giving us your time today.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for the platform. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be able to do the work that I do without spaces like this where I get to share. So I'm so grateful. Thank you for having me.